Jeremy Corbyn, the chief rabbi says a new poison of anti-Semitism, anti-Jewism, has taken root in the Labour Party, and it's sanctioned by you, he says. He questions your fit for office. What's your response?
I'm looking forward to having a discussion with him because I want to hear why he would say such a thing. So far as I'm concerned, anti-Semitism is not acceptable in any form, anywhere in our society, and obviously certainly not in my party, the Labour Party. When I became leader in 2015, I looked at processes that were available for dealing with egregious behaviour, and they weren't as good as they should have been. We've developed a much stronger process. We have sanctioned people that have behaved in an anti-Semitic way, removed some from party membership, and indeed even removed people as candidates. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just not acceptable in any form in society. When the far right are rising across Europe, using anti-Semitic tropes in order to intimidate people, then I think we've all got to stand up together on this.
But it's not the far right he's worried about. I'm sure he is worried about the far right, but that's not the result of this unprecedented intervention. It's about you and how anti-Semitism rose as a problem in the Labour Party after you became leader. Why?
It didn't rise after I became leader. Anti-Semitism,
enormous.
Anti-Semitism is there in society. There are a very, very small number of people in the Labour Party that have been sanctioned as a result of complaints about their anti-Semitic behaviour. As far as I'm concerned, one is one too many, and I've ensured action is taken on that. But we've also, on a positive side, recognised the need for education. So we set up an education process within the party. Education packs are available, and also made it very clear that in government we would obviously support the Holocaust Education Trust and the need for all of our children to understand how the Holocaust came about and how the growth of the far right in Germany led to that. And I think as a society we have to recognise that any form of racism is divisive and dangerous. So it's an attack
Indeed.
on a Jewish woman in the street or a Muslim person in the street, it's equally bad. An attack on a synagogue or a mosque is equally bad.
But you're speaking in generalities. Let's get to some specifics. You said in the ITV debate that anyone who has committed any anti-Semitic act in the Labour Party, they've been suspended or expelled, and you've investigated, your words, every single case. The chief rabbi has called that a mendacious fiction. And he's right, isn't he?
No, he's not right.
Really?
Because he would have to produce the evidence to say that's mendacious.
Well, let's look for some. Let me ask you this. Is it anti-Semitic to say Rothschild Zionists run Israel and world governments?
In the Chakrabarti report, we asked that people did not use comparisons about conspiracies, not use comparisons.
Is that anti-Semitic?
Because in the belief of Shami, and I support her on this in that report, that can be constructed as being an anti-Semitic statement.
Right, but let's just get it clear.
And therefore should
I
not
asked
be
you,
used.
I gave you a specific quote. Are the words Rothschild Zionists run Israel and world governments? Is that anti-Semitic?
It should not be used, and it is.
But you can't say it's anti-Semitic.
No, I just said that it should not be used.
That's different from it being anti. There's lots of things shouldn't be used, but that's not the same as anti-Semitic. Is it or isn't it anti-Semitic?
Andrew, it is an anti-Semitic trope that has been used. And that was, if you'd let me finish before, I made that very clear in the Chakrabarti report, which we did very early on.
It's anti-Semitic. That's all I wanted to establish.
Very early on during my leadership.
Yet these were the words used by Liam Moore. He's a Labour member, former council candidate. Your party's actually been investigating him now for almost a year.
It's not being investigated for anti-Semitism.
But he
it's been
hasn't been
for
suspended.
Process.
He hasn't been suspended. You said everybody's been suspended or expelled.
They've been investigated and action has been taken.
But he hasn't been suspended.
I said, and I stand by this, that every case that comes to us is investigated, not by me, independently of me, and it ultimately can go to the National Constitutional Committee, which is again...
For using what we've agreed as an anti-Semitic trope, why has he not been suspended during the investigation?
The investigation is ongoing.
It's a year.
Is ongoing so far as I'm aware, and action will be taken at the conclusion of that
investigation. Why does it take a year to investigate someone who says Rothschild Zionists run Israel and world governments?
Look, I don't know the process that is involved with him. In some cases, I don't know about his case, there is legal representations which often delay things a great deal.
let me just ask another. Is questioning whether 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust the kind of thing that should get you thrown out of the Labour Party?
It's completely unacceptable and should not be happening.
Then let me give you the case of Leslie Perrin. She was a Labour Party member. She posted a video denying the Holocaust and questioned whether the 6 million figure was accurate. And what did the Labour Party do? It gave her a written warning. No expulsion, no zero tolerance, just a written warning.
That was some time ago, I believe. You could perhaps give me the date of that.
The timing doesn't matter. That's what happened.
Well, I've strengthened the processes in the last 6
But
months.
she
That's why I
posted
say
the
that.
Facebook on 2017, August.
Yes.
So it's not that long ago.
I've strengthened the processes since then.
But all you get for questioning the Holocaust, implying perhaps it didn't happen and the 6 million figure she said was a real problem, is you get a warning letter.
Look, denying the Holocaust is appalling and it's totally wrong. Holocaust denial is not acceptable.
So why did you just get a letter of
warning? It's
warning?
not acceptable in any way whatsoever.
Why did you just get a letter of warning?
Andrew, I've made it very clear. Holocaust denial is not acceptable.
When did you toughen up the rules?
When I proposed that egregious cases should be fast-tracked through the...
When was that?
During the last few months.
Because
I proposed it to the National
Executive. She got this letter this year.
Yes, I'm saying it was in the summer I proposed that.
I mean, people worry if your heart's really in this. I mean, today when you launched your race and faith document, you had 2 prospective Labour candidates, both of whom have been accused of anti-Semitism. One of them reposted on social media the Zionists are Zionist rulers. They were standing with you today.
It's not the language they should use, not the language I would use. All I would say is that I have spent my life opposing racism in any form. I made the point that in the very place where we launched our manifesto this morning, in Tottenham, I've been on the streets there in the 1970s and 80s when I lived in that area, opposing racism, and that is what my life is. Andrew, can I finish, please? That is what my life is about.
Well,
I feel very passionately
except the
about
chief rabbi in the British...
I feel very passionately.
You've not convinced the chief rabbi or the British Jewish community.
Well,
your party is being investigated for anti-Semitism by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Only the BNP's ever been investigated before, hard-right fascists. We're told thousands of cases have been submitted to the Equality Commission. British Jews, many of them fear you making it into Downing Street, and that if you do, many are preparing to leave the country. Are you not ashamed of that?
Andrew, this morning I made it very, very clear. We will, in government, as in opposition, protect any community that's under any threat of any sort. We will support the necessary funding to protect synagogues, protect temples, and protect mosques. We will protect the cemeteries also. We will not allow anti-Semitism in any form in our society because it is poisonous and divisive just as much as Islamophobia or far-right racism is. And I think we can agree on that.
Except that they don't trust you. They don't think your heart's in it. They've seen you share platforms with
Andrew,
some of the world's vilest anti-Semites.
When you say they, who do you mean?
Many Jews. 80% of Jews think that you're anti-Semitic. That's quite a lot of British Jews. I mean, wouldn't you like to take this opportunity tonight to apologise to the British Jewish community for what's happened?
What I'll say is this. I am determined that our society will be safe for people of all faiths. I don't want anyone to be feeling insecure in our society. And our government will protect every community against the abuse they receive on the streets, on the trains, or in any other form of life.
Try one more time.
No, hang on a minute, Andrew. Can I explain what we're trying to do?
You have, and you've been given plenty of time to do it. I asked you if you wanted to apologise.
Andrew, I don't want anyone to go through what anyone has gone through.
And you've said that several times. I understand that, Mr. Corbyn. I was asking you about an apology. Let's move on to Brexit.
Well, hang on. Can I just make it clear? Racism in our society is a total poison.
You've said that several times. So, you know, we get that. I'm not arguing about that.
Be it Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or any other form of racism. And I want to work with every community to make sure it's eliminated.
Right.
That is what my whole life has been about.
You made that clear, and people will make up their own minds. Let's move on to Brexit.